It's live. We're live.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to our July 11th meeting of Environmental and Real Property Tax Services. Welcome. Can I first get a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting? Supervisor Dickinson, seconded by Supervisor Gerasi. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, no, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Lexi, you're in charge.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is our last chance meeting for anybody that, needs a little extra time or some help concerning their taxes. I did give everyone that's here an updated agenda because I can't get these really out to you all ahead of time, just so you're aware, because there's always people reaching out to me last minute. So we're going to start with the first one, which is under Sheila Edwards. Sheila is not here today. She was not going to be in town. So I let her know that I would speak to her for her. I have done that in the past for some of these people. So that's the route we're going into. She needs to enter into another installment agreement. But she cannot do so until August 8th because you can't enter into an installment agreement until it's been 3 years from the initial date that you entered into your last. So she's gone into one in the past, entered it, paid everything off, and now she needs to go into another one. She wanted me to let everyone know that she does have a good chunk of it. She has $8,000 that she would be putting down. And then the difference would end up in the agreement. So if you look at your first sheet, which is labeled last chance meeting, and she's number 1, the total August figure is $11,971.40. For her. So she's going to put down $8,000 instead of the almost $3,000 that would be expected to enter into an installment agreement. So she's just looking for you guys to give her the time to be able to enter into another agreement. But again, like I said, she can't enter in until August 8th.
Dennis, do you have
I'd like to move that.
okay, we have a motion on the floor by Supervisor Dickinson, seconded by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion?
Just
Michael,
what date,
Yes, we do have to have a date.
what date would you like to give her to?
She said she'd be ready by August 8th.
Well, that she says that she has the money now to be able to enter in, but she can't enter in per the treasurer's records until August 8th.
Well, why
So-
not give her to the 15th in case there's some issue with her paperwork?
Okay, whatever, I just want to make sure that we have a date. that's
Thank
all.
you.
And if
15th.
I could just make one legal comment, we have to file papers in order to get a judgment of foreclosure. My intention was to hold off on that until August 1st. So the longer we push that date now back into August, I'm not going to say the more at risk we are of running up against the foreclosure sale date in October, but it's certainly something I want to advise everybody of. And the second just observation point is there the ability for this individual to pay that money in July?
No.
So that,
No.
because so it's the position that the treasurer can't accept those funds without an agreement at this point.
Correct.
Correct. I mean, if she could come in right now and pay off in full, I've already given her an extension until July 31st, but she can't. She doesn't have the funds. So in order for her to save the property, she needs to enter into an agreement. And per our laws regarding installment agreements, it has to be 3 years from the date when she signed the last one, which was August 7th.
All right, and I totally understand that. And I'm aware of that, and I apologize because I guess we could have had this conversation separate from this meeting. But a taxpayer doesn't have any ability. Your office can't accept the payment, has a payment.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I?
go ahead, Lex.
Larry, I know that in the past we have kept the people in the motion when you prepare. And then they have to amend at a later date.
And that's procedural and something I was hoping to avoid this year, but
Okay.
I think in August, the bigger conversation, and I'll probably stay quiet the rest of the meeting, is the process in total. But that's a conversation that we'll have before we discuss it with the board. So. Okay,
So-
thank you.
I'd be willing to change it to the 8th.
Okay, is that, you okay with that, Mike?
Yeah, I, just as long as we got a date so that I know we can inform her that she has to be here by X time.
You happy with that, Larry? Is that okay? Okay, that being, thank you. We have a modification. Who is on the second on that?
Susan.
So,
Deb.
yes, so that we have a motion, with the changes as stated. All those in favor? Aye. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lexi.
Yeah. Okay, so next on the list, the second one is under John and Janice Davis. They did submit their paperwork and Janice is here, so we could ask her to speak. If you want to maybe go to the podium.
How are you today? So our house is on the market right now. We are divorcing. John has been on disability for like 20 years. And I used to work at Fort William Henry until about 2 years ago when I had to take a leave of absence. This was before the pandemic. I have ongoing medical issues that do not allow me to work. I'm trying to get disability, but I'm in the middle of that. And so that is partly or mostly why the taxes were not paid. And our intention was to sell the house and then pay the taxes with the money from the house, because right now neither one of us are working and I'm not getting disability or anything. So that's also one reason why the house is on the market. Well, that is my plight. And they said something about an extension, but I don't know. Never did this before, so we said our intention is to sell the house and then just pay off the taxes. If that's possible,
Go ahead, Dennis. Yeah.
Janice, have you had anybody looking at the house?
yes, 4 showings yesterday. I had 4 today, but no one's here to take the dogs out, and I have 3 tomorrow.
Okay.
Good. Seems-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get disability, but that's been, I haven't worked or driven or anything in 2
So,
years, but
What kind of time frame do you think you need to sell the house?
my realtor feels it'll be going within 30 days, but there's no guarantee on that. That was our intention even before I got the foreclosure notification. That was my intention.
So we're talking the quick math here, the 12th of August.
She feels it'll go in 30 days, but like I said, there's no guarantee on that, but
So what kind of time frame is this under, Lex?
Well, the thing of it is going in 30 days doesn't mean that, okay, there may be a buyer in 30 days, but then you have closings. You have to have an abstract done, usually of title, then you would have to have an appraisal done, tax searches, all of that takes time. Nothing just turns around overnight.
mhm.
So, you know, even if you gave her an extension till the end of August, that's only a month and a half that you're hoping that somebody can sell something. So I don't know, you're really in a time constraint on this one.
Is there a deadline that we can't go past?
You guys can choose what to do. It's your choice. We have had different scenarios in the past. We've actually given people time in the past and by pulling them out of the foreclosure completely for the year and entering them back in for the following year's foreclosure. So they would be on the list that comes out in September that the treasurer's office gives to the county attorney's office. They would be noticed. They would have another in-house tax search done. And then they would have to make sure that they were in the petition come March of next year. And if they don't get into one by the time, this same time, the 8th or 9th or whatever the date falls on next year, we would move forward with the foreclosure. And it's up to committee as to whether you would want somebody, after giving them that type of extension, to be able to come back for another last chance. My recommendation on a second last chance like that wouldn't be up in the positive, it would be in the negative. But again, it falls down to what the committee wants to do, as to what you want to give for an extension. You heard Larry say that if you only give them until sometime in August, then it is complicating things for the county attorney's office. If you pull them out of this year's foreclosure and give them that chance, remember that you're building up a whole nother year's worth of taxes if they don't sell in the next couple of months. So those are just information for all of you.
Dennis, go ahead.
What's that?
Never.
Yeah, have they been in an agreement before?
No.
Peter, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to give her to the end of the year.
Okay,
Can
Uh,
I just,
yes, please
before
do.
you do that?
Yeah.
I would say I would give her, and I'll give you a date. Giving her till the end of the year just means pulling her out for another year. So, because even if she came in and paid, it's mid-year, you have to wait until January for them to go. Well, she's already beyond redemption, so I guess you don't have to wait till January, but let me just look at next year's date. You would be looking at July 14th next year is going to be the last day to redeem. So,
So you're talking about pulling her out of this year and then,
well, because if
Picking her
you
up
give
next
her
year.
to the end of the year, that's what you're doing.
okay,
You're pulling her out. There's
that's-
no
that's my
recourse.
motion.
okay, we have a motion. Did you want to say something, Claudia?
I did. I was gonna ask that we make it to the end of August. She's still gonna be in the court paperwork, but it would be easier to pull her out, I think, rather than giving her all the way till the end of the year. She's not gonna be.
Well, I'm
Include-
concerned about her being able to close, especially with
a month.
taxes due. So I was hoping to give her more time.
Okay, Deborah?
So what you were talking about, when you said July 14th, you meant 2023.
Correct.
That's what I'd be in favor of.
So the motion would be to move her into next year, with the deadline being July 14th.
Pull her out of this year's foreclosure and make sure that she's back in for the 2023 foreclosure.
Okay, are we comfortable with that, Dennis and Deborah?
Yes.
I am, yeah.
Great, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you very much.
I'm opposed.
Okay, you're opposed.
Yes.
Okay,
Nice.
one.
Okay, Janice, you're all set. We made note. Did you bring a copy by any chance of your listing
Yeah.
agreement? Can I have that copy?
Sure.
So that I have it just for my records, and then, if I will reach back out to you. Yeah, that's fine. Can I have a copy of her business card too?
While they're working on that, can I ask a question?
Sure, please do.
If she ends up selling the house and is able to pay off the taxes, is she going to be able to make the payment? Are we gonna have the same problem as this
Yes.
last?
She can pay.
And then,
Intention before closing because we all. And then I got foreclosed and everything.
I just wanted to make sure the treasurer is gonna be able to accept,
Yeah.
you'll
Does
accept
you-
it as long as it's full payment.
Because you've now extended the last day to redeem, last day to pay till next year. We can take payment anywhere
At any
now
time.
in July 14th
Okay.
of next year.
Okay, so I have everything and I'll be in touch with you. Okay? You too.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Moving onward.
Okay, so the next one actually has 4 parcels. So it's under the Mildred Lackey estate with Stanley Lackey listed as the executor. So there's 3A, B, C, and D. They did only fill out one sheet because I told them they only needed to fill out one, because it pertains to all of them. And one of the heirs, Sherry Samus, is here today, so Sherry can speak to you guys. Sherry, if you want to step up to the podium. She also has her realtor with her, Casey, who works for Julie and Co Realty. And they do have these properties listed. I did include a copy of that in your packet so that you can see that. So Sherry, you want to speak?
Yeah, actually, I can give these to you before I start. These for the other listings and information.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so I am Sherry Samus, and I'm here on behalf of the Lackey Estate property and the heirs of Mildred and Ernest Lackey. My mom, Virginia, was the eldest child of Mildred and Ernest, and together with her siblings, continued to pay the property taxes after the passing of my grandmother in 1994. So during the past 28 years, it has become increasingly difficult to pay the taxes as the heirs have aged and 2 of them have passed. So now there are 12 heirs. So it makes it even more difficult to resolve the estate. We have tried at various times to sell in the past. And in fact, our realtor, Casey King, is here. And she will attest to the hours and years of work because we've tried to sell in the past as well. Not to mention hundreds of text messages, no exaggeration. I counted over 400 just since April to Casey, not including the ones to all the other heirs, plus emails and telephone calls to different zones because they live now in Washington, Oregon, California, Montana. So perhaps you can see that or why it took from March when we had the notice until May 23rd, just to get everyone on board to list the property. It's been a slow process, but anyway, the property has been actively listed since May 23rd. And by the way, at a lower price than the county assessment. And now with the information I just gave Lexi, we have just lowered the listing price further. So there's one other important issue, which I only discovered on Thursday after I purchased a current map of the properties. A change has occurred in the amount of road frontage on the 70+ acre lot and the adjacent lot. Since it would not seem correct or intentional for the DOT to take road frontage from one lot and add to the other, we need time to inquire and receive information from the DOT and for the DOT to send surveyors out to check the markers and the measurements. I'm sure you can realize that if by changing the road frontage, the requirements for a driveway on the 70-acre parcel are not met, it could have a very negative impact on the value of the property. So I guess I'm asking for as much time as you can give us, because especially now with the DOT involved in checking out that problem, I think it's going to take some time.
I can maybe just explain a little bit more about the property. So there is 4 pieces. 2 of them, without the front 2 pieces, would be considered landlocked because they sit back in. One of them is a smaller acreage lot on the front, which is going to be, I think, 3B in your packet. It's only 3.62. I know when I talked to Sherry, they did consider selling that individually, possibly if needed, because that may be saleable easier. There is road frontage, like she's mentioning, on the 70-acre, 70.45 acre lot. But I had mentioned to her when she was in here that this property is located up on 149, that she may want to talk to DOT to see about a curb cut. I don't know all of that, what they do or what they don't do to allow somebody, especially on such a busy road as 149. So I think that's what you're talking about. Did you reach out to them?
Yeah, actually, after I had spoken with you, I purchased the map and I had no idea because I was referring to the older map that I had.
Got you.
And I didn't realize that they further they took away some of the road frontage of that 70-acre
Correct.
lot. So now it's even possibly more difficult to have access from Route 149. That we won't know until we get in touch with DOT.
Okay. This property is in that zone on 149 where they widen some of 149. So in doing so, that's what she's talking about, the frontage changing. Is that when the state took some of the road, it ended up making, or some of the land to make the road wider, it ended up making her road frontage narrower. So I'm glad that you've reached out to them in hopes that they can help you.
Right.
So I know that you still are possibly considering selling the smaller lot separate.
Well,
Or no?
now that may be more of a problem than it was in the past because now the road frontage is showing less than it had been, which when I called the last time, there was just enough
Okay,
for a driveway. Now I don't know how that will affect. I mean, hopefully DOT will send someone out there to survey and check the measurements. It is a little hard to understand why one of the lots would have added road frontage and that less. I don't know how they came up with that, but in any case, it is a problem that needs to be addressed and it will take time. But the other thing I want to mention is over the weekend, I also had spoken with a couple of foresters with the possibility, because it is very heavily forested now. And it's possible that we might be able to do a light harvesting and maybe get some money for taxes by doing that, but that will also take time.
Mhm.
Supervisor Seaver had a question. Supervisor Seaver?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two questions, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Thank you. One is for the treasurer. It doesn't appear like there's ever been a payment arrangement made previously, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then my other would just be, it'd be to our speaker here today. I'm very appreciative of you being here and certainly can see that there are a lot of complications and mitigating factors that may take some time. What is the time frame that you're looking for? And perhaps Lexi could help after you answer this question. You know, perhaps it's something we can do the same type of arrangement we just did for Ms. Jarvis, and looking at going into next year so that you could have time to not only sell all these properties or perhaps harvest the, you know, with what you just talked about with the forest, to pay those taxes. But I'd like to be able to, at the appropriate time, make a motion to be able to offer an extension here.
Go ahead, Lex. What do you think?
I kind of agree, Rachel, because, or Supervisor Seaver, I'm sorry. Because I've spoken to a couple of different family members, so I understand what Ms. Samus is saying, because it's been very difficult to get everybody to agree to sell. The realtor I know has been a big communicator in this and actually is the one that reached out to most of them to get them to sign this agreement. Because, you know, being that summer in California, Oregon, there is some others here in New York, but nobody really lives close. And even Miss Samus is over an hour away herself. So, you know, if that's something that you guys feel would work for you guys, I think it would definitely work for them because they could get somebody in there to log. And like she said, do a light cut, and also still continue to work to sell the property.
Can you give us a recommendation then, Lex?
It really comes down to you guys, but if you can do the same for her that you did for the one prior, the Davis family, then that's up to you guys if you want to do the same for her to give her that chance. And remember, the same thing goes for her that did for the Davises, that if they sell it, let's just say they sell it in a couple of weeks and they go through everything and do the closing, then they would come in immediately at that time and pay the taxes off. So they would be paid.
I'd make that motion.
Thank you Supervisor Seaver. Is that a second, Dennis?
It's a second. I have some questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Sherry, has this property been surveyed?
Oh, my goodness, not for many, many years. I mean, the survey,
you
the most
definitely don't
recent
need to
survey I
You're-
can think of
you're-
is when the DOT was out there, they were doing surveying because of the widening.
Their survey is not going to help you on private property.
No.
It's just
Okay,
a road survey. You need a survey of your own. And you have several issues here that your road front, you have pre-existing lots. If the road frontage has been decreased because of the road taking, it's not your fault. You have pre-existing non-conforming lots. So you still should be able to sell them as long as you have access. You can't sell a lot if the road frontage they have is inaccessible. So you're gonna need some time to get all those things squared away. Dealing with the state on your road taking is. it's
yeah,
gonna
I think the DOT is definitely going to be a little problematic.
be- Yeah, that's an understatement of the year.
Supervisor Leggett.
Yeah, thank you. Not a member of the committee here, but looking at the ArcGIS on the Warren County site, looks like that 3-acre parcel has a driveway going through it that accesses the stuff behind. Is that possible to use?
It does, but the problem is, if we needed to sell that lot, because you don't need that lot, if you have access to the 70-acre lot to get to the back lots, because they're all connected, that 3.62 acre lot would not necessarily have to be there if we had the driveway in the 70-acre lot. So therefore, that would give us the flexibility if we had to sell that smaller lot, and then we could use those funds to pay the taxes. But now it's it's problematic because the road frontage that had been enough for a driveway in the 70-acre lot is now questionable. So it's kind of hinging on the
Claudia.
DOT. No.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt you. Thank
ahead.
you. You know, I'm happy to provide extensions. I am not comfortable with us completely pulling people out of the foreclosure. That's why I voted no in the last one. Given that we voted to give that person an extension through the next year, I don't see why we couldn't do that here.
Okay.
I am not comfortable with doing this. I think that there are a lot of issues going on and we should not sit here and try to evaluate those property issues for you. I would advise you to get your own attorney. But in any event, thank you for allowing me to comment on this.
So is that a motion on your part?
I think there's already been a motion
You have
made
a
by
motion.
Supervisor
Okay, we
Seaver.
have so again, we have a motion in a second. Basically, the underlying guidelines would be to follow the pattern that our previous applicant was involved with. Mike, do you have any suggestion?
No, I'm good.
Okay, very good. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah,
Okay.
we got.
Sherry, if you could just please stay in touch with me, either you or Casey, just keep me informed with your progress, with DOT and where you're going and what direction. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
You were very
Thank
welcome.
you very much. Our next, is this
Okay.
Jennifer Lindsay?
Jennifer Lindsley, property in the town of Horicon. Jennifer is working today. She's recently gone back to work, so she didn't really feel that it was appropriate for her to be able to get the time off. And today was kind of like moving day. They were in a temporary location due to a fire. And they were moving back to their permanent location today. So she asked if I could speak for her. It's stating here that she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer and recently finished after 2 years of chemo, surgery, and radiation and numerous scans and testing that left her with a lot of medical bills. She decided last year to She decided to sell her house last year and was in contract with friends of her parents. And after the third round of financing fell through and was winner, she just relisted with a for sale by owner. And she does have an interested party, she says, in the process of submitting a cash contract offer with several others waiting behind them, asking for an extension until the end of August for the sale of the house to go through to pay the back taxes off in full or a reduction in the down payment. The reduction in the down payment that we can't do because you have to put down 25%. It's per the way the installment agreements are set up. COVID hit hard, but between treatments and doctor's appointments, her work time was cut in half. So now back to work full time, but catching up. She would appreciate the consideration. She has talked with Mike Swan as well as myself on this. If she was to enter into an installment agreement in August, she would need $2,372.01. But, you know, again, she's looking at a cash deal and it is for sale by owner. It's not listed with a realtor. So it comes down to the committee's choice.
Claudia.
I'll make a motion to do as we did with the last two and just take her out of this year's foreclosure.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a second to that? Supervisor Runyon, any further discussion? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sanjay Kapoor.
Okay. Sorry. Mr. Kapoor is a truck driver. So he wasn't sure if he was going to be back. When I talked to him on Friday, he was headed to Illinois. He said he would try to be able to get back to be able to attend, but that's a distance. So he's one that was added in this morning because he emailed me his information over the weekend. So you guys you just kind of had some notes from me. He is in the middle of selling his home. He did give me a copy of the contract for sale. And they are moving forward with the sale. I did get a call on Friday afternoon from the realtor for closing information. They were trying to figure out what was owed in taxes. I transferred them to the treasurer's office for that information. They are working very diligent at, you know, getting this pushed forward. He really is hoping that they can close by the end of July, but that may not be possible. So he was looking for more of an extension till the end of August.
Can I?
Go ahead, Michael.
Excuse me, I just had a conversation with him yesterday afternoon. He called me and they have completed the inspection and the appraisal. And the buyer has been qualified for the mortgage. So it's just a matter of putting it together for the close. Everything is in place. It's just waiting for closing. And when I talked to him a week or so ago, I suggested that just in case something gets hung up, he might need a little extra time. That's why he's here. But nothing is a sure thing, obviously, until everybody signs, but this one is almost there.
Yeah.
So we would, what's the time frame we're looking at here?
I would say if you gave him till the middle of August, he would be fine. I mean, I'm after talking with him, I think it's going to close before the end of July. That's the tentative date, before the end of July, but just to give him an extra week or so, just in case something comes out of the woodwork.
Okay.
Make that motion, Peter.
Okay, Dennis has come forward with that motion. Can I have a second to that?
I'll second.
Supervisor Runyon had her hand up. Sorry. Rachel,
I have a question when you have a moment.
go ahead, Rachel.
Thanks. My question with that is, can we do the August 8th if Supervisor Runyon and Supervisor Dickinson would be acceptable with that? That's what we did with the first request in line with the county attorney's office so that it wasn't too far into August so that they can meet the needs they have as well.
Okay. Are you okay with that? That's okay, Rach. Okay. Very good. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We have a
Okay. The next
Christensen.
one, Daniel Christensen. This is a hard one. I kind of just stuck a couple lines on here. I had a very difficult conversation with Mr. Christensen. I don't totally know what to really say. He, over the last decade, told me that there has been just multiple deaths in the family. It's been extremely difficult for all of them. I think part of it being mental health. You know, he's tried to help his mom who lives in Florida because his dad was one of the deaths. A sister who also lives in Florida who back in 2006, he said, is when all this started. She had small children and lost her husband. I'm not sure what you want to do with this guy. I'm getting emotional over it, but he just has a lot of issues, and it was very, very difficult talking to him and getting him to express what he really wanted to say. He told me that he was going to do his best to try to be able to enter into an installment agreement, at least by selling his only means of transportation, which would be his car. His house is paid for. He does not have a mortgage on it, but he's only 52 years old. So I wasn't sure. I've dealt with people in the past that were able to get reverse mortgages. I just don't know if there's an age limit on that. And there is. Okay.
65.
And that's what I told him. I said I didn't think he was old enough to be able to enter into that. And he is currently not working. He has no income coming in. He did say that if he sold his car, he'd buy a bicycle if he had to, or he would walk if he had to. He's really struggling because he's just kind of felt the need to be able to try to help his family instead of helping himself. So I'm really not even sure what to suggest to you guys on this one.
So what is the, go ahead, Dennis.
Does he live here on this property?
He does.
Okay.
Go ahead, Deborah.
It says here includes other properties. So is this for properties other than the one family residence listed?
No.
I think that was just maybe put on the wrong line.
Okay.
I usually fill this form out and I gave it literally at probably 4:15 to the treasurer's office, and they were trying to close up their money and account for their money at the end of the day. So I asked them if there was any way they could get this filled out. So I think it's just on the other line. It was supposed to be on the one above it. But he does not own anything else. This is it. I think last year he maybe, or the year before, might have used the COVID
He did.
excuse. So that is why he's in there with 5 years of taxes.
So give us your best shot here, Lex, in terms of helping him.
He definitely does not have the $6,652.08 to enter into the installment agreement unless he sells something. And so I did get that out of him that, what do you got to sell? What can you do? And he acted like he would sell his car.
Go ahead, Mike.
Not to sound like I'm trying to keep on to this guy. I mean, bad things sometimes happen to good people, but even if he sells the car, he has no way
Of
of
making the
making a
payment.
payment afterward. So basically, he's now without a car, down $6,000, and it's right back into the same problem next year with absolutely no ability to come up with any kind of money. I mean, I just don't know.
Dennis, go ahead, Dennis.
Lexi or Mike, what's this property assessed at?
I don't think I've got that on there. Want to say it was Queensbury's only at 90%. So they were like, I think the assessed value was around 177,000. So You know, you're looking at probably a $200,000 house. Little over.
Supervisor Drossy.
5 years of back taxes, probably a good chance of no intention to pay next year's either, I would assume.
My personal opinion is that he should really list the house. If you were gonna give him an extension, that would be my suggestion to him, but I don't know if he would accept that suggestion. It was a very difficult phone conversation. I could barely get him to speak, and I just kept telling him, I'm not here to judge you by any means. I'm here to help you. He thanked me over and over and over during the conversation for trying to help him.
I mean, he called my office at 10 minutes to 4 on Friday. And that was the first I'd heard from him. I don't know if you.
No, he called you earlier. You had given him an extension back on the 5th of July.
But he had not reached out to me again until
Right.
4 o'clock, almost 4 o'clock on Friday, that he was in this trouble. I mean, this kind of trouble.
Can you consider giving him a little more time to enable him to give him a couple of options and see what his response would be? Dennis or Michael?
Well, that's what I would like to do. He definitely needs to sell the property. He has no other choice.
I mean, I.
For the value that he has, and he certainly could find some place to rent for 15 or 20 years of the proceeds from selling his property.
Michael?
I agree. I think the only option would be to ensure a listing. Without that, I mean, it carries on.
Rachel?
Just so you know, I don't know what happened with the volume. It's very difficult to hear anyone talking into their microphones right now. So I hope that you can hear me. Mike, can you hear me? Swan?
Yes.
Okay, again, I can see you shake your head. Yes, so thank you. But hopefully Mike Colvin can fix whatever's going on with that. But my question here, and maybe I won't be able to hear you answer it, but here are my thoughts on this. I would very much like to see this committee take an opportunity to give an extension. I don't know if we go back and we do what we've done before. I can see here that, yes, Supervisor Drossy, it's been 5 years. And yes, listening to Lexi to have you describe with emotion the difficult conversation that you had with him. I am happy to work with you, Lexi, to send over to him a list of resources. But I do believe that it would be appropriate for this committee to perhaps provide him with a list of resources from DSS to Rob York's office, hearing some of the concerns about mental health and knowing that he is reaching out. Perhaps there are some services through Catholic Charities that can help him with some legal counsel or through some other groups that could help him. But it sounds like some detailed resources and advocacy on his behalf might be very helpful and might result in a period of time where we can not only help him with this situation, but all the way around addressing some of these needs that he has right now, both mental health and his living situation. So I'm not ready to give up on trying to help him, particularly after hearing what Lexi shared with us here today. And I probably won't be able to hear the rest of what you say, but I would appreciate any consideration from the committee.
So do we have let's run step here in order to give Mr. Christensen a little more time.
One other comment.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so all the other actions that we've taken today, there's an actual listing. And in some cases, it looks like sale and in day in a couple of cases. There's not even an intent here to do that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lex.
I think the hugest problem with that is that this is extremely difficult for him. I mean, if given the opportunity, I agree with Supervisor Saber. I'm very willing to reach back out to him and work with him any way I can. I know last year Larry, our county attorney had given me some information for some people with foreclosure issues. And I knew that there was through New York State this year, which I think it maybe stemmed from the federal government where there was money out there to be able to help some taxpayers. However, that money was only X number of dollars and it got used up pretty fast. But I know when I did reach out to them myself to talk about that, they said they were putting names kind of on a waiting list in case other money did become available. That is an option. He could go on that waiting list. We're not guaranteeing anything. But maybe that I can reach back out to him and talk to him and try to persuade him or convince him of other options, one possibly being listing his home for sale or reaching out to some other organizations that are out there that could possibly help him as well. I just think that he just doesn't know which direction to go to really get that help. And I've dealt with this in the past with other people that they've had those same struggles. They didn't even know what to do to help themselves. He may already be in contact with social services because if he doesn't have an income, I'm not quite sure how he's living. But that would mean more questions. If you could give him some type of time to try to work through that and figure out which route he needs to go, I think that would be very beneficial to him.
Thank you. One thing I was going to say is that I know Miss Delory has worked with people like this in the past, and you really are very dedicated to our residents in the county, and I appreciate that. I was thinking this is a complicated situation, just as that last one with the weird DOT issues. Maybe Queensberry has a homeowners assistance program that we could hook them up with, or maybe we could use ARPA money to help this person out. But it's certainly complicated, and I don't think a simple extension of a month or so is going to really do this guy a lot of help. So I'd make a motion that we withdraw him from the foreclosure and give him another year.
I'll second that.
So we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Claudia. Anything else, Lexi?
Okay, so that was it for any applications for the last chance meeting. The only other thing that I have included here just for a resolve is the treasurer's office per past resolution is granted the authority to be able to offer extensions to people to the end of July. Those extensions are on the last 2 pages in your packet. So we just wanted you all to be aware of what has been granted at this point. At this point, yes, Friday was the last day to redeem, but I think people, if somebody reaches out to Mike this week, next week, and they have the money to pay, Mike can still grant them that extension until the end of July. So we just want you to be aware of the people that have come forward to ask for these extensions. Mike, do you have anything to add on that?
No, we take payments postmarked by Friday, even if they come in during the week. We did have a couple of people that came in late Friday, trying to enter into installments with personal checks. We don't do that. It's either cash or certified funds. So we gave them till to this morning at noon to come back with what they needed. So, we work with them. Yeah. And if somebody shows up in the middle of this week, basically we'll give them some sort of a break.
Good, thank you. Lexi and Michael, we thank you very much for your efforts. It's greatly appreciated by the citizens of Long County. Thank you. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Claudia.
I will note on here this list of extensions. I can see some who are repeat customers in this situation. So I don't know, maybe that's something we can look at in the future. Some of these are not people's homes. These are vacant properties. They're just using us as a little loan program to pay off their taxes in the time frame that they want to.
Yes.
I just, I do feel for people. I really do. But also we have an obligation this is our job. It really is not a fun job, but some of these are not people's homes and they need to pay their taxes on time to the best that they can.
Larry, thank you.
If I could just address that generally, it's my hope to continue the process of globally looking at procedures the county is currently using. And that's a process I hope to follow through with both the director of real property and the treasurer so that we can come possibly to some decisions and recommendations for the board going forward in future years, which might better address that scenario.
Good. Thank you, Larry. Any further discussion? Seeing none, can you get a motion to adjourn? Dennis, seconded by